There's one problem that you're facing that if you solve it will make all the other problems that you're dealing with either faster, easier, or smoother. This might sound a little bit crazy, but this is an idea that comes from the business world. It's called the theory of constraints. And basically the theory of constraints says that in any process, in any system, there's going to be one bottleneck, one constraint that if you solve it is going to make everything else go smoother and faster. The example of this that is classically mentioned is, let's say you have 3 stations at a factory. The first station is able to produce 10 units of something a day, and then it goes to the second station. The second station is only able to process 5 units a day, but then the third is able to process 20 units a day. So if they all rely on each other, which of these is going to be the slowest? It's going to be the 5 units a day, which means that your entire factory is only able to produce 5 units a day. So if you add more capacity to the third station, the one that's already doing 20, that's not going to change what you're able to do. Your factory is still only able to produce 5 units a day because of that middle one. That middle one is the constraint. It's the bottleneck. And so the idea is that if you want to improve the factory's efficiency, it doesn't matter what you do here, it doesn't matter what you do here, it's only the bottleneck, it's only the constraint that you should focus on. This is something that I think applies in a lot of instances, not just a business context, but even just in like a life context and day-to-day goal pursuing context. Let's say you're wanting to contribute to your community more, but you get home at the end of the day and you're exhausted and you don't want to do anything. That means that your constraint is your energy. If that's the case, then how do you better manage your energy? Maybe that means eating healthier. Maybe that means exercising more. Maybe that means structuring your day and your week in such a way that you have energy in the times that you need it, etc. Another example, I was talking to someone recently and they're trying to pursue a career in the creative world, and they have specific time every day that they're focusing on practicing, but they're finding that they're not making the progress that they're wanting to make in their practicing. And so we talked about the theory of constraints, and then they went out and tried to figure out what that constraint was. And they realized that part of the constraint for them was actually just the belief that if you fail at something, you're a failure. If you make a mistake, you are a mistake. And so it wasn't really mattering how good they were getting at the skill, how much they were practicing, how good they were getting at what they were trying to do. The bottleneck was their belief. The problem was the ideas they were holding in their mind that didn't let them progress. And so the big takeaway is that you want to focus on fixing the constraint, focus on making the bottleneck wider. It doesn't matter if you add capacity to the guys that are already doing 20 units a day when the bottleneck is the guys who are only able to do 5 units a day. Fix the bottleneck and then everything else will work better. And then you'll find that there's a different bottleneck and then you fix that one instead. So I find then that a lot of the real work becomes figuring out what that bottleneck is and actually focusing on it and not getting distracted by going and doing other things that aren't the bottleneck, that aren't the constraint.